Oakville, and Milton. And of course, you will always see a red banner appearing below your screen with all the details if you are included in a warning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Karkic. This is a look at the line of thunderstorm cells that have passed through a lot of regions already. What we do know that has already happened is a tornado just around the Angus region. It has destroyed many homes. There are lots of pictures coming out from Twitter. Also, some cars were shifted, so very strong winds in that region. And we've seen some large size hail in the Hamilton area and heavy downpours too. Within the next hour or so, this is going to continue to track into the Greater Toronto region. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's probably coming. But once it passes through, you should be in the clear. We've got Jacqueline Whittle right now. She's driving towards the stormy weather. Jacqueline, give us an update on where you're heading and what you've seen. Right now, outside of our Oakville studios, you can see the rain really coming down hard, the wind whipping the trees all around. Oakville, which is where we are based, does have a severe thunderstorm warning in place, but we still have one in the city of Toronto, Halton Hills, Mississauga, Pickering, Brampton, Oshawa, Guelph, Southern Welland County, and Cobourg. We just got updates that the severe thunderstorm warning has ended for Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. So this is just continuing to track towards the Greater Toronto region. While we've seen storms move out of Hamilton, we still have some more coming for you. But generally in this vicinity of Barrie, where we did see a tornado touchdown and damage homes, that is cleared out for you, thankfully. Let's take a look at the roads with Chrissy Van. And Chrissy, from what I understand, you've got some hail out there around Hamilton.
Yes, it's really been a treacherous drive, and unfortunately the conditions, it moves through so quickly, so your drive can literally change in an instant.
As well as Milton. So as these thunderstorms make their way through, and you're probably already seeing those heavy downpours across the Greater Toronto region, it's going to end within the next half an hour to an hour. So that's certainly the good news. In the Niagara region, likely to linger a little bit longer, but not out of the question to see gusts up to 100 kilometers an hour, hail 2 centimeters in diameter. But these are moving fairly quickly. I know to a lot of people, when heavy rain comes down, especially in Toronto, we think of last year with the flooding. Very different setup in this case. They're moving a lot faster, so less chance for there to be a lot of flooding. But what we have had already happen is a tornado touchdown just south of Barrie. We've had damage there. Now, our very own storm hunter, Mark Robinson, was in Guelph earlier today, where we did have tornado warnings, and that's when he was tracking down the storms. Let's check in with him. Storm Watch coverage continues right here on the Weather Network. This is from a few minutes ago outside of our Oakville studios when that storm was ripping through. You could see the winds very strong, very dark as well. And then this is as time has passed. So the storm has started to clear out of the area. This is certainly good news if you're trying to travel home and you couldn't be driving anywhere. Through the Greater Toronto region, that rain is starting to lessen. The Niagara area certainly still a concern, but the latest update is all tornado watches have been dropped. Now, there has been tons on social media today, people posting photos as well as updates saying they're seeing the hail, they're seeing the heavy rain. I want to show you this from earlier. This is in the Angus area, and you can start to sort of clearly see this tornado, which did damage a lot of homes. And unfortunately, people are going to be in cleanup mode. This is a perspective of what has happened there. And that was an area that is now in the clearing. So certainly a lot of people figuring out what's going on. Hanover, there was a report of a tornado, no confirmation at this point, but you can see that well-developed cloud, and our very own Jacqueline Whittle was traveling through Embro, Ontario. She could certainly see some stormy clouds, and maybe you, our viewers, have been seeing some funnel clouds out there. We check in with our Stormline caller right now to see what they've been seeing.
My name is Karen. I live in north part of Brampton, Ontario. No rain yet, but winds are very severe right here now. Our patio furniture is blown away. Our gazebo outside the roof has ripped off. So very, very strong winds here right now. No rain or lightning and thunder yet, but the winds are extreme. Thank you.
All right, we've seen a lot of calls from our Stormline callers. I want to thank everyone for calling in, but just remember to stay safe. If you have any warnings, it's usually the best idea to be indoors. Let's take a look at our roads with Chrissy Van. And Chrissy, how's it looking out there? I imagine a lot of people going pretty slow on the heavy routes.
For sure, Nicole. It's certainly been a challenging drive. And
tornadoes in the Hanover region. No confirmation on that. But in Angus, which is just south of Barrie, this picture from Twitter, you can see the tornado in the region. And unfortunately, there has been a lot of damage. We've heard reports of about 30 homes being destroyed. So this, a chilling image of what has happened today. And this is the shot of the Hanover storm, which potentially could have been a tornado. Not sure about that at this point. But a lot of downed trees. And to that effect, there are widespread power outages in Ontario. About 40,000 people without power, and definitely that could be weather related. Let's check in with Jacqueline Whittle. She's been traveling through southern Ontario today. Jacqueline, where are you at this point, and how's it looking out there? And all those bright reds and yellows and oranges certainly were coming down pretty hard in that vicinity. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings in place, though, for the Niagara Falls region, St. Catharines, Belleville, City of Hamilton, and Napanee. So still in it, but after it passes through, generally we're in the clear. Earlier today at Pearson Airport, it reached a high of 31 degrees. Within 2 hours, it dropped 10 degrees to just 21, and that was courtesy of the passage of the front. We had our very own Mark Robinson, storm hunter, chasing the storms today across southern Ontario. Here he is from earlier in Guelph. All right, that's from Mark Robinson earlier today. We've seen a lot of power outages across Ontario, at least 30,000 people in the dark. So if you have power at this point, get the flashlights ready just in case, because we still have some strong winds in the area. But right now, let's head to our Beat the Traffic Center. And Chrissy Van, how are the roads looking at this point?
Well, Nicole, even though the bulk of the storm has passed through, the dangers on the road still present, as you mentioned.
Us certainly could have reached 100 kilometers an hour. Glad you could join us. I'm Nicole Karkic. This is the latest thunderstorm warning that we have in place. Niagara Falls is still included, St. Catharines, Belleville. So as this tracks east, certainly a concern there. And we also have Sandbanks Park. The warning has ended for Hamilton, so that's starting to clear out for you and Cobourg as well as Oakville. Now, as we look to the southwest, certainly it's cleared out there and up towards Peterborough. The heavy rain is starting to pass through the area. So once you're behind that front, certainly in much clearer, calmer conditions. Let's check in with Mark Robinson. He's one of our storm chasers here at the Weather Network. He was earlier today tracking down the storms, where we still have severe thunderstorm warnings in place. Now, earlier today, we had a lot of tweets about the very stormy weather in the Barrie region, and south of that in Angus. One of our viewers uploaded this photo to our website, theweathernetwork.com, and you can see a tornado forming. This caused damage in the area. We've heard reports of about 30 homes having damage, but you can see some downed trees as well. It looks like a pretty old big tree for that matter, and this also in southern Ontario, so uprooted trees, power outages across the board at another area. I mean, you're not driving down that road. We're going to check in with Mark Robinson right now. He's our storm hunter here at the Weather Network. He was traveling through southern Ontario today, chasing down those storms. Point in a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, earlier today, we saw many heavy downpours across the Greater Toronto region. Also, just south of Barrie in the Angus region, this picture came into us here at theweathernetwork.com. You can see a tornado on the ground, which actually caused lots of damage. You can see down tree. This was in Angus. This is another picture that's been making the rounds all across Twitter of the damage. We've had reports of at least 30 homes being damaged, and from what I understand on Twitter too, some injuries too. We're checking in with Jacqueline Whittle right now. She's traveling to Angus at this point to see the damage in the region. Jacqueline, tell us where you're headed right now and what you've already seen today chasing down storms.
Yeah, Nicole, we're just making our way down the 403
place, but we also have Kingston included, Odessa, Frontenac Islands. This is recently added, Niagara Falls too, and the southern Niagara region. So as you can tell, it is just marching through. We could see 2 centimeter size hail and wind gusts up to 100 kilometers an hour, and there are widespread watches in place too. Lots of photos filling into our weathernetwork.com website. If you have any images, you can always upload them on the first page. This is earlier today, south of Barrie in the Angus region, where there was reports of at least 30 houses with damage, and this has been all across Twitter. A lot of people retweeting this image right here. Pretty haunting. Lots of trees down as well. At least 30,000 people through the day have been without power, so hopefully that's being restored as soon as possible. And this is an Owen Sound. Just captured this. You can see some very stormy looking clouds. So a lot of people saw this, but it's interesting because places like Toronto right now may be going to see the sunset, so it cleared out fairly quickly in some places. Let's take a look at at the roads right now with Chrissy Van.
Thanks so much, Nicole.
Rain that just is going to continue to linger on for the next 48 hours, and you can see very dark green on this radar, and that's an indication of steady, heavy rains. Temperatures have certainly been below average. Lethbridge has declared a state of emergency, so there could be evacuations tomorrow. And as far as rainfall totals, earlier today, this came in 3 p.m. local time in Alberta. We had Milk River at 59 millimeters. We had Waterton at 72 millimeters, Pincher Creek 35, and there is still more to go, maybe upwards of 100 millimeters of rain on top of what we've seen, particularly in the Pincher Creek region. We're checking in with Margot Morin right now. And Margot, I understand that you're in Lethbridge at this point. What are you seeing, and what is your action plan as things start to continue to intensify? Well, and a zoomed in shot of exactly what is going on. We could potentially get up to 200 millimeters in the hardest hit regions with this. And definitely this is a concern for a lot of areas. We have the county of Lethbridge that is included in a state of emergency. Also the municipal district of Willow Creek. And I've heard Crow's Nest Pass as well has recently declared a state of emergency. So a lot going on. With this event, Calgary not going to be hit as hard. That is certainly the good news. But there are going to be many other communities that are going to be thinking very eerily about last year, which is now 4 days off from the anniversary. Thursday will be the anniversary of the 2013 floods. We are going to take a look at the roads right now in our Beat the Traffic Center with Chrissy Van.
Thanks so much, Nicole. And of course, with you saying a lot of people flashing back to the flooding that occurred last year, I know it's on people's minds. I mean, the front.
As we take a look at the radar for you in Alberta, definitely some steady rains making its way through places like Lethbridge. The county of Lethbridge has declared a state of emergency. Also, the municipal district of Willow Creek under a state of emergency because of the copious amounts of rain that we anticipate coming through. Now, as far as rainfall warnings, we have Okotoks included, High River, Kananaskis, Cypress Hills Provincial Park, Lethbridge, Cardston, Crow's Nest Pass, Fort Macleod, and Pincher Creek. Likely Pincher Creek will be seeing the most rain, maybe over 160 millimeters. And as we take a closer look at what has been going on in southern Alberta, this is just going to continue to bring us some easterly winds, and that's going to provide some upsloping. So that's why there is a problem to see a lot more rain. This will eventually shift into parts of southern Saskatchewan, and that will bring a lot of rain from areas like Regina up towards Saskatoon. We now have Margot Morin on the ground. She's in Lethbridge. She'll be tracking the storm today right and through tomorrow. So, Margot, not looking very pleasant out there, pretty cold. What can you tell us on that front? Environment Canada just came out with this. They have confirmed the tornado in Angus, Ontario that occurred earlier today. They said it happened at 5:20 p.m. and there's been significant damage to at least 30 homes. According to media reports, roofs removed and trucks flipped on its side. So definitely they are sending a survey team on Wednesday to determine the severity of that storm. This is the severe thunderstorm watch that's currently in place. So we have the Niagara region and then shifted towards the east. Those are the two areas of concern that we have left. We're going to take a look at the roads right now in our Beat the Traffic Center. We've got Chrissy Van out there. Chrissy, what can you tell us about what's going on? Well, so the radar returns just showing that slamming into areas like Lethbridge. We have a rainfall warning in place for Okotoks, Brooks, Lethbridge, Kananaskis, and Canmore too. The county of Lethbridge is in a state of emergency, and we also have the municipal district of Willow Creek. Now, I just want to share a tweet. Brandon did say that there is the municipality of Willow Creek in that local state of emergency, so he gave an update on that. And this is in Pincher Creek. We've got the swift moving waters, and Pincher Creek is one of the areas that could see up to 200 millimeters of rain. We'll have more updates with photos and videos across the country, but first, let's head to Lethbridge, where we find Margot Morin. Ontario. So that's certainly the good news story there. Environment Canada, though, this evening has confirmed that a tornado did touch down in Angus, which is just south of Barrie. This came into our weathernetwork.com website, and this is from Angus. There was plenty of damage because of this storm. There were certainly some downed trees, but also they reported that there was a flipped over car. So this image was retweeted a few times in social media. The car completely flipped over, and the damage in Angus, you can see the homes completely ripped up. So So ominous scene there. Environment Canada will be sending a survey team to Angus tomorrow. So then they're just going to get a rating to see what kind of damage was across the area. So we'll get that update. Right now, we're going to check in with Chrissy Van in our Beat the Traffic Center. Chrissy, how are the roads looking out there across southern Ontario? River Claresholm as well in Kananaskis. The highest amounts could reach about 200 millimeters of rain. So there is certainly a concern, there I'm back again, for some flooding. And this is a look at tweets that came out. This is the Old Man Dam letting it loose north of Pincher Creek. And we take you to Pincher Creek right here where you can see the rivers running high and fast. Now, Lethbridge County has... And I just want to take you to this map right here. This is from the government of Alberta. This is an indication of where we have flood watches in place. Warnings are in place for the Old Man River, and there are also... The flood warnings would be the most concerning, and that will be Old Man River. But this is the zone for sure that we're concerned about with the amount of rain we have coming through in the next to 48 hours. We need to be checking in right now, but we'll check in right now. That seems to be cleared out at this point. Margot, what can you tell us in Lethbridge? Right across the province of Ontario. So that's certainly the good news. We saw some tornado watches and warnings earlier. Those have all been dropped. But this happened. We had a tornado in Angus. This is where this photo is from. Lots of damage. This is one of the images that has been floating around Twitter. I think it's been retweeted hundreds of times. You can see lots of damage due to homes. And so Environment Canada will be sending a survey team. We've heard word of at least 30 houses being damaged, as well as certainly some downed trees. And this car, if you can see it, has been completely flipped over. So a scary scene today. And this is some of the down trees. This was actually in Angus too. So some large trees down. Power outages at the height were above 30, or at least 30,000 people. Right now, let's check in with Jacqueline Whittle. She's on the road heading towards Angus. So maybe you can tell us where you've been today, Jacqueline, and how those storms were looking.
Yeah, Nicole, I'm just outside of Barrie right now, and oddly enough, I'm just looking at the sky. It's still lit.
Fall warning, but we have Okotoks, Kananaskis, Cypress Hills Provincial Park, Lethbridge, Cardston, and Crow's Nest passed. Heaviest rainfall amounts of up to 200 millimeters are possible in the Pincher Creek region. Now, the Lethbridge County has declared a state of emergency. High River has deployed sandbags, and we do have the government of Alberta saying your municipality is the best source for information during emergencies. So that's certainly a good front. And there's lots of flood risks. So Alberta Parks, for example, says that due to the flood risk, Red Lodge Provincial Park has been closed. This is a shot that was tweeted from Alberta Water Portal. This is the Old Man Dam letting it loose near Pincher Creek. And this is a picture of Pincher Creek right here. And we take you last to this is from the government of Alberta. These are the general areas where there are flood watches or warnings or stream flow advisories. But I do want to mention that Old Man River is under a flood warning. So that would be the highest rated one for the worst concern for risk of flooding. Let's now head to Lethbridge, where Margot Morin is out there in the wet conditions. And Margot, what can you tell us at this point? And some strong winds, but all the watches and warnings at this point have been dropped. Environment Canada, however, has now confirmed that the tornado that touched down in Angus, Ontario, earlier today at 5:20 p.m. is rated a low-end EF2 with winds estimated at about 180 kilometers an hour. So this is an image from Twitter of that tornado on the ground. This is in Angus, but let's give you some perspective of the damage. Apparently, there were reports of about 30 houses with damage. This is some of the damage images here. This is from Mark Robinson, our storm chaser, who's on the ground in Angus. You can see the roofs completely ripped off. That's one image, and we've got more from Mark Robinson, who is in Angus at this point. So lots of damage in the region, and definitely they're going to be in cleanup mode. This is a perspective of this evening. Of course, we're starting to lose the light. There's also been reports of at least 30,000 people without power at the height of the storm. So this was a nasty one, but luckily it moved through quite quickly through some areas. We're going to check in with Mark Robinson right now, who earlier today was traveling through Guelph as he was chasing the storms. But it's starting to really clear out nicely for you, so you'll be in the clear overnight tonight. We will have Jacqueline Whittle doing tornado aftermath coverage in Angus, where Environment Canada has now confirmed an EF2 tornado did touch down earlier today about 5:20 p.m. It was in Angus and then moved to areas near Barrie at about 5:35 p.m. So wind gusts up to 183 kilometers an hour. This is a look at the damage. Our very own Mark Robinson is on the ground in Angus. He took some shots earlier today, and you can see the roof damage right here. About 30 homes have been destroyed because of that tornado that ripped through. This is another perspective of the damage in the area. Not a good situation, and in the dark you can see a little bit clearer if you are looking up close, but definitely some damage there. We had some downed trees too all across southern Ontario. There are at least 30,000 people without power, maybe still some people in the dark at this point. We've had hundreds of stormline calls through the day, and this is one of them from earlier near Toronto. From Angus, we have an EF2 tornado confirmed. It happened around 5:20 p.m. and then it pushed to the Kempenfeld Bay area in Barrie at about 5:35 p.m. With this, about 300 residents have been impacted, 60 homes have been destroyed, and about 30 have been severely damaged. So take a look at this. This is a tree down in southern Ontario today. This is a perspective of Angus, the tornado in Angus, which came to us at theweathernetwork.com, and a few shots of the damage. I mean, it's pretty scary stuff. Very chilling. This is a look at one of the houses in the area, and you can see all these roofs completely ripped off. We're checking in with Mark Robinson right now, who has been storm chasing through the day today. Media images that have come through Twitter today, and if you do see anything, you can use the hashtag ABFlood, and certainly that will help streamline where your information is going. So this is from Alberta Water Portal earlier today. Old Man Dam letting it loose north of Pincher Creek, and then we take you to Pincher Creek right here, which was earlier today, rising with swift-moving water. So certainly an area of concern. When all is said and done, Pincher Creek could be looking at 200 millimeters of rain. And we'll just take you next to this. This was issued from the government of Alberta. This is the area of concern, anywhere shaded in gray, so I'll circle it for you, where we have high stream flow advisories, flood watches, and there is a flood warning in the Old Man River Basin. So all the tributaries there would be considered part of that flood warning. Let's check in with Margot Morin. She's been in Lethbridge through the day today. She's going to be on the ground reporting through the floods this week. Our Storm Watch coverage continues right here on the Weather Network. That line of thunderstorms that race through southern Ontario really pushing off, and areas like Ottawa maybe still seeing some drizzle, but at this point there are no watches or warnings in place, and that's certainly the good news. But there was some devastation earlier today. Look at this image right here. This is from Twitter. This is a tornado image from Angus, Ontario, and because of this we have seen lots of damage. So it just ripped through the region. This came out earlier in the afternoon. You can see the homes completely demolished, and this is from Mark Robinson, also in the area this evening. All the roof damage right here. So at this point, Environment Canada's preliminary estimates is that we have an EF2 rated tornado, and about 300 residents in the Angus region have been impacted by this, with 30 homes completely destroyed. We're going to check in with one of our Stormline callers from earlier today.